Welcome back to Scratching the Surface. My name is Justin, aka Money,
And my name is Cody, aka Junes.
and thank you to anyone tuning in to this episode. Junes, so good to have you on set. How you doing?
I've been great. It's so good to be back in the saddle talking about one of our favorite things in the world, horror movies. And today, Money, what do we have for the people for episode 28?
We got Jeepers Creepers coming back, released in 2001. And I just remember this watching this as a little kid, so it's been a damn long time. I think I told you that too. It's been a long time since I've seen this, so it's good to dive back into the franchise here a little bit.
Yeah, from director Victor Salva. This is a 2001 film. And Victor Salva, really his main resume is just the sequels that came out with Jeepers Creepers. This guy, if you look it up, he's not a good dude. He got in some trouble with some sexual stuff, so let's just keep it at that. But not a good dude. But he just did mainly work with the sequels of Jeepers Creepers, and this is one for me as well. Money growing up, yeah, you watch it as you get older, and you remember being terrified of the creeper and the song itself. You have movies that use scores and create scores for the movie that are exceptional, and then you have some movies that actually use a song. And this song, Jeepers Creepers, has no creepy intent in its original form, but the application of it in this movie brings it and gives it a whole new meaning. It's definitely a creepy song, and every time you hear it, you're gonna think of this movie for sure.
Yeah, most horror like films I feel like either have like a certain music cue, like Michael Myers, this movie, um, Texas Chainsaw with like the camera shutter. So it's cool, and then to hear an actual like song with lyrics is just sets the mood. So um, if you haven't already, before we deep dive into this, please check us out on YouTube where you can see our faces, our interactions, the full length videos on there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on most mainstream platforms. So give us a follow, a like, comments, anything would help. Keeps us motivated, and we love to interact with you guys if we could. So check us out there. And June's, I'm curious, and at the end too, we will give ratings. So very, very curious to hear your ratings. So, to kind of get into it, we'll try to speak generally on, most topics. We were saying before, I think this is, if you've seen it, it's a pretty straightforward movie. I think the runtime's like right at an hour and a half. So it's kind of one of those shorter, right at the mark, hour and a half movies. So pretty easy to get through. And really, it's like I said, straightforward. And generally speaking, first half was definitely pretty slow. Couple of scenes in there where at the end of the day they were my favorite. I got a few that I'll talk about. So, and to talk about the characters a little bit, the main two, Justin Long and Gina Phillips, in the movie Derry and Trish or Patricia, I believe, her real name, siblings embarking um, on a, I think they're just, I don't, do you know what they were traveling for in the end? Like, or were they just
I
hitting the
think they
back
were
road?
just they were just traveling home from college for spring break, I
Right.
believe, is all it was. Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
the setting here is in Florida and the countryside in Florida. So that's our setting. It's definitely hot there. And I
Yeah.
think with the production, from what I've read, it was a kind of grueling because it was just hotter than shit when they were filming this. So yep, in Florida, they're driving home for spring break. And what I love about these two characters, Money, is how well they work together. I think Justin Long is one of the best scream kings in the horror genre. He's been in a lot of stuff, Drag Me to Hell, Barbarian, and this film. He does a really good job, and I think it's because he really portrays that level of fear so well. And his performance here in Jeepers Creepers is so authentic, as is Gina Phillips, who plays Trish in this movie. They both do so well, and it makes you think they are true siblings, and they have that little rivalry going back and forth. And those opening scenes, the first act, a lot of the time we spend with them are some of my favorite moments because there is some good cynical humor that we have in Jeepers Creepers that is appreciated as a viewer. So I don't know about you in terms of enjoying their relationship as a sibling. It came across very authentic to me.
Yeah. And I think, uh, with Justin Long too, I think he makes most people around him even better and brings out, certain characteristics and traits from other actors and actresses as well. And the main character, we have Jonathan Breck as the creeper. Um, so very, very cool. We'll get into like that a little bit later on when, we start seeing more of him in the movie. But yeah, watching this, it reminded me of other movies in the past, but just these two people driving and just hints of the creeper come up. And I forgot how they get chased. I love them getting chased. I think it was kind of funny, but like, holy shit at the same time too, that like very specific horn sound too, just matching a perfect description of like what would be driving that, as like the horn matching that vehicle. Just some bulky looking like souped up van, just metal all around it, like perfect for the creeper. I love that. And a lot of chase scenes in this movie too. And that damn car getting stuck shifting gears is like starting to piss me off by the end of it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, yeah, it was. There was at least a two or three scenes where they were having issues with the shifter.
Oh man.
But I love that you bring up the introduction of the vehicle when we see it. I love that scene because we've got the two siblings just driving down the road and the vehicle starts approaching in the background. It's way behind them and it just really quickly approaches them just like that. And as the viewer, you're like, holy shit, this guy's freaking on them. And you see that fear once they know this guy is fucking with them, that they really start losing their shit. And up until that point, it was mostly joking back and forth. They were reading all the license plates on the vehicles as they're going down the road. Some of those are funny scenes, but then to have that introduction is really cool. Kind of sets the tone, I think, once we know that they're in trouble here.
Yeah, and it ends up passing them, getting way ahead of them, and they stumble upon it later uh, with the creeper, just little bits and pieces of them in the background. You can see dumping some bodies down like a drain tube or a sewer tube into the ground, and they're like, what was that?"
If I were driving down the road and I saw something like that, I'd be terrified. And what sets up a plot here is the characters saying to themselves, we should go back. Because in most cases, I'd be too scared to. I'd probably keep driving. So the idea of having the characters go back and investigate is a really good premise and plot to work with. See how these characters kind of interact and how they respond to all these scary things they're about to see. I love when he's down there in that basement of the church. Those are really creepy scenes, and we see some bodies, and the reveal is really effective, I thought. And we even see a body of somebody that they have been talking about on the road. It was a high schooler who had gone, a couple actually, that had gone missing. They found the girl with no head. They never found her head. So we actually see her down there, Money, and
Yeah,
we even see the high school ring that they had on too. It's a really good reveal in that basement. Super freaking creepy, and Justin Long's fear that he portrays is so believable.
I'm trying to remember where they end up next, and I think it was just at a diner, I believe, and they try to just get some help, and everyone in that damn diner just looks at them like they're the stupidest people on earth. I found that pretty funny.
It's funny too because
Like,
when they're in the
yeah,
diner, the phone rings, and so everybody, especially, is now looking at him.
they're
And
like
then the one
stopping and
guy,
looking.
the one guy's like, "You gonna answer that? You gonna answer
Yeah,
that phone?" They're just
yeah.
sitting there. They obviously are embarrassed, and they're obviously disheveled. They've just gone through a big time scare. Especially Derry, like you said, he is traumatized from what he saw, and it does take him a bit to snap out of it. And on that phone call, I believe this is where we get the first moments with Giselle. I believe where she's telling them about Jeepers Creepers and the song, and she has these dreams and she knows what's going to happen to them. Obviously, very confusing for Darian, for Trish, and also for us. We're wondering what the significance of this phone call is. How does she know about them? She said she saw them and she knows what they saw down in that basement. So there's a little bit of suspense that's built up. And having that phone call really is kind of propels the rest of the movie. We kind of go from there.
Yeah, and the sad part is, no one's going to believe them. Everything they tell them, anybody, they're not going to believe them. So we've yet to really see, the creeper at this point too. So the director, he's still holding back on, fully revealing him, and we get some more snippets. And I think, and again, they're like back on the road. It's just kind of like On the road, something happens. Back on the road, something happens. So it's like this little, not even really tug of war, but just this push and pull type of thing. And after the diner, they've had the phone call. Everyone looks at them stupid and back on the road. And I'm trying to remember where they end up next. Because
They,
I can't remember if they get chased again
yeah,
or if they run into the creeper again in the van.
yep. So they're they're at that diner, and then they end up noticing something went to their vehicle outside and took some of their shit, some of their clothes and whatnot. Some random items went
That's
through the
right.
car, and that's when the police get involved. The police give them an escort ride to the police station, and this is actually a really good scene. We can talk about it when they are getting the escort. The two police officers obviously get killed by the creeper, and this is where we actually get a first real true look at the creeper when we're on this road. And I tell you what, the creeper is a pretty good villain for horror. I think I don't know, I go top 25 for sure. I think top 10, maybe. I don't know. Some people would maybe consider that. I like the look of the creeper, and from development for the movie, they said they tried to avoid letting Justin Long and Gina Phillips see the creeper so that they had that, more genuine reaction when they were on screen. And some of those moments when the cops are getting killed are really, really cool. We even see the creeper that moment money when he takes off the head
Yeah,
of the cop that's driving the car and basically chucks that son of a bitch forward because it ends up on the front bumper or the hood of the car that Derry and Trish are driving ahead of the cops. It's a great freaking moment. I don't know what you thought about it, but he even sniffs that head there for a bit. He's sitting there sniffing it. I'm like,
dude.
what is he doing? What's this guy
Yeah.
doing? This creeper's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and he turns it around and like starts to eat the tongue out of it
Yeah.
too. And they're just like, what the hell? Like basically like, I'm not seeing this. Like there's no way I'm seeing this right now. Like this is not reality. Sadly it is though for them. But yeah, the reveal is really freaking awesome. I love how they designed the actual creeper like that. When I just see him like that tight skin, like pulled back, what it really reminds me of is just like a bat, especially when we
Mhm.
find out it has wings later. Literally just a bat that's very mobile, very active. Um, and in this particular movie too, the white hair like on the back of its neck, it's like nothing on top, and then it just comes down the back of its, neck and shoulders a little bit. Very, very disturbing. And what I noticed right away too is just the glossy eyes. If you look at the movie poster, you see an eye, and in this movie, you're like, well, they're like so gloss. So I knew there was like a correlation there right away. And then at the end, we'll get into that too. The very last
Yes.
thing we see. So if you know, you know. But yeah, very damn cool. Very pleased with what they did.
Yeah, those are good moments. And we work our way eventually to a house off the road after the cops get killed because obviously Derry and Tristan don't know what to do. They're looking for help, anybody that can help them, and they end up at a farm here.
Yeah,
There's an old lady there. We have some creepy fucking scenes with some scarecrows in the field at that farm. Some cats running around in this old lady's house. She grabs a shotgun at some point, tries helping out these guys,
dude.
and
Yeah.
poor grandma, poor granny. She gets taken down. A pretty good kill. And those are some creepy moments there at that farm too. I believe they were only there for a good 5 minutes or so. It wasn't a long time, but it was those are good scenes, I think.
Yeah. And actually, before they went to that house, they actually found out too. Uh, when the police escorted them back to the church, that actually got set on fire, basically destroying all evidence, making it even harder for anybody, especially the police, to believe them what they were actually saying. Uh, trying to match their story, getting chased, discovering that, and then running into this guy. But now we have two police officers dead, so something is stirring the pot. They're just trying to match the story. So, and then yes, they go to the house, which that old lady, oof, she got destroyed. Um, so and then they eventually get and dude, the thing is too, I mean, there was like what, at least three, four shots that went off, and
Yep.
you're like, oh man, maybe there's a chance, and you just know, like, no, no, she's dead. She's so all them freaking cats too. So
I know.
She's like, I
Uh,
got a few of them, or she's like, I got more than just a couple, and it's like 100. So,
too good. And I like that
yeah,
you bring up the church though, because we failed to mention, I failed to mention when I was talking about it, down in that basement at the church, there was a lot of bodies. So we know that this creeper's potentially been doing this for a long time. In whatever manner he does it, how often he does it, we don't know. But I mean, there was hundreds of bodies down in that basement. So whatever he does, he's been doing it for a long time. But I just wanted to mention that.
yeah. So, like I said, they end up getting back to the police station, and they run into Giselle again in person. So they're starting to match stories with the way she's talking because Derry realizes she was the one on the phone from the diner talking about the cats and all this, and he's starting to put the pieces together, and he still can't believe it. You notice that in the movie, looking at his expressions and whatnot. And she kind of explains how the creeper comes out every 23rd spring for 23 days to feed on, humans, and eating whatever it consumes to like basically make that part of its body stronger. Basically, from what I got from that, which is why at the end we see the eyes and an actual like human-esque eye in the creeper. So really damn cool. So that was a huge turning point. What do you think of that? Because yeah, I feel like they had to have some sort of backstory there a little bit to really tie this movie in.
I think that's a solid backstory. I like when we're
Yeah,
getting the explanation. It kind of adds to that legend of the creeper, and the foreshadowing on the eyes is really neat to put in there for the audience to kind of be like, okay, we might know what he's going for, what body part he really needs. And there's just that legacy with the creeper. I don't know. I love having something like that, and it gives him a little bit of a background. And really the rest of the film money is fairly straightforward. I guess the creeper ends up at that police station they're at, and some shit goes down. Obviously, Derry and Trish are trying to escape if they can. And there's almost this sense of Giselle knowing who's going to be the victim. She can't
yeah,
say it for sure, but she knows in her dreams who ends up dying, but she doesn't say it. She doesn't say it to him, but the whole time you can sense that Derry feels it's going to be him, and there he starts getting very stressed in the final
yeah,
act, very worried that it's going to be him, and he's kind of starting to lose his shit. Whereas Trish, she's so stoic all the movie, and she keeps it together. Whereas, yeah, Derry definitely is a little more susceptible to fear. And you see the creeper when he smells and he picks up the scent, he is looking for a level of fear that he wants, and that's the person he wants is the one that is the most fearful. He loves to smell the fear on you.
yeah. And that's again what Giselle was saying. Like he hunts through fear. So if he gets a taste for it, he ain't gonna stop. So glad you brought that up too. Yeah. But really, really good prison scene here. I did not realize how many freaking actual like policemen were in
Yeah.
that, unless they call for backup and there's more there. But like there was like 30 guys with like ARs, shotguns, pistols, like that stairwell scene where the one cop gets his literally heart eaten out, just like a perfect circle through his body, like a see-through circle through his body. There's like 30, 40 dudes right there lined up. I'm like, how many guys are in this police station? But maybe it's a big one. I don't know. So it seems like it's out in the middle of nowhere. So I just was like, that might seem a little unrealistic, but
That's a good point.
maybe I don't know. I'm just getting picky, but I was like, damn, that's just a lot of bodies to be armed there. So yeah, but great prison scene, great scene with Giselle, the backstory. I really, think it tied it in. And basically by the end of that scene, the creeper has Derry, basically held hostage and whips himself through the wall or the window and flies off with him. The cops can't even get a shot off on him, which kind of pissed me off. I wish they would have like shot his wings a little or something when he spread them. They didn't take a damn shot. So I was like, oh, I forgot about that. So, I'm like, there's like, probably a 15, 20-foot wingspan there for you to shoot at, but not a shot was taken. I don't know. Yeah, I'm getting
You're making
picky.
good points. You're making good points. I don't know how they don't take a shot there. I mean, take a shot. Take the shot. Save the
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
I don't,
do something. You got all
I,
these guys here with ARs and shit, like nothing. Yeah, so I don't know, but they didn't want to shoot the human dairy, so I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
I get the point of the movie. So yeah, I'm understanding from it. Um, yeah, and then we get them flying out through there and the creeper in the sky
I
finally
love
with
that.
showing these wings off and him carrying Derry through it. You got a full moon out. Trish runs out chasing and they're gone. And reality sets in a little bit for her. I think after that, it's like the next morning or the sun is coming up and she's sitting in the, waiting room of the prison still. And they have another moment with Giselle, talking a little bit and some final send offs. And we see the layer back where the creepers at here wrapping the movie up, which I thought was damn cool. And all the tools, by the way, and weapons in his van and that we see in the cave, down the drain pipe earlier, now at wherever this location is. Maybe it's the same location, or I would think it'd be different if that actually caught on fire earlier in the movie. So damn cool. It reminds me of a little bit of like Texas Chainsaw, where he's like cleaning himself up in a room, or he's got like or his basement, down there with all of his toys and all that shit. And he's just like, he has Derry like strung up and you see his face. And oh, forgot to mention, I know I'm kind of going on a tangent. The way they preserved those bodies they talked about, it was almost like they were preserved because,
Mhm.
they knew that the people they knew that died happened a while ago. And he's like, I saw them like they were in the flesh. They're like, no way, they'd be bones by now. And so he like preserves them in a way. And, you see the face stretched way out, the eyes taken out, and then the creeper coming into the shot with like a real human-esque eye,
Mhm.
which was damn cool. One of my favorite parts to it to wrap it up. So very good ending in my opinion.
That's a very solid ending, and you
Yeah,
feel for Derry. I think he's one of the better protagonists in the horror genre. I think he is. He's so genuine, and he's such a just a good character, and it's so
yeah.
well played by Justin Long. And when you see the eye, you're like, oh my god, holy shit! And you
Like,
see,
what is he gonna turn into now?
yeah,
Like,
it's
what is he gonna
crazy.
take on? What form is he gonna take on? Uh, and I think the series gets a little bit better, continuing forward. So, uh, to discuss in the future, possibly.
Yep.
But yeah, damn good ending. So, I'm excited to get into ratings finally. June's, if you want to kick it off, I'd be more than happy to hear what you got to say. I got a set number in my head already. I thought about it last night. So, with Rotten Tomatoes, there is a 45% critic score and a 49% audience score. So yeah, you look shocked, Junes, but take that as you want.
That's crazy. What the fuck? What are we doing, people? All right, I'll dive in. I'll dive in. I'll dive
All
in.
right.
Thank you for saying the score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep.
Those are tough scores.
I
And
know.
audience. That shocks me, but
Yeah.
I like this movie. I like this movie, man. Growing up with it, I always had a good time with it. And I remember being genuinely terrified. It might be one of the more true horror movie experiences I had as a younger person, as a kid, for sure. I like the premise. I said it earlier. I love the idea of driving by on a road, seeing some creepy looking dude at a creepy looking place dumping what looks to be a human body in a bag down a fucking pipe. I love that premise. I think that's the best moment in the film when they go back to investigate. Those are really tense scenes. You feel the fear in the eyes of Justin Long and his portrayal. All of that is awesome. I have a really good time with that. The cinematography, there's some fun moments from the director that I think are actually really slick. Some of the editing was really cool. The the way the vehicle of the creeper approaches Derry and Trish is really neat. It's like an Evil Dead
Mhm.
approach, like a fast zoom in approach to our protagonist. I think some of those are really neat. From scene to scene, he does a good job. The writing makes sense. There's a little bit of a backstory, which I can appreciate. Maybe the back half is a little more rushed. I didn't like it quite as much, but the two characters, I love these two. And every time I see Justin Long, I think Jeepers Creepers. And the song, I love the song. It's changed that song. It's got a whole new meaning now. Jeepers creepers, where'd you get those peepers?
Yep.
Jeepers creepers, where'd you get those eyes? That's so good. And then the foreshadowing, like we talked about just briefly before, really good. I love that. Some of those small little details I really like to see as a viewer. Now, of course, there's some moments that were probably thrown in there in the back half, like the moments at the farm where I don't think those needed to be there. Some of the police station stuff I think was a little drawn out and maybe could have been written in a different way. I think they scrapped it initially because of budget constraint, so they had to rewrite things. I think that that back half struggles a little bit. That's just my opinion. But overall, you have a film that is a Halloween classic. I'm watching this most Octobers. It's a great nostalgic movie, and I think a lot of people would agree, and that's why I'm so shocked by the scores for the audience. Maybe the critics, I get it, but for me, money, Jeepers Creepers, I'm going a flat 7. I'm not going to go an 8. I'm going a flat 7, and I think it deserves it. It's a B movie, but it is a good B movie. Give this some respect, folks. Jeepers Creepers, flat 7 money.
Flat 7. There you go. June's not a bad score. Not a bad score. So I think we're going to meet very eye to eye on this. You hit a lot of damn good points that I agree with because, it was pretty straight up the way you explained it. But I agree. The premise of, these two siblings driving, trying to do good uh, for the better of, trying to investigate something that turns into something really, really dangerous for them uh, and out of this world with the creeper, something they would have never seen themselves getting into, really ties the movie together. Something about those horror movies where you're driving cross country or on a highway, it just, for me, it just hits different a little bit. Those movies tend to end up being a little, on the better side for me. They hit different for some reason. But um, overall, yeah, I liked, honestly, the first half almost better than the second half, even though there's not a lot of screen time with the creeper. It was just the setting up, the manipulation of the creeper, the chase scenes. One scene we didn't even really mention was how they ended up running him over like 6 times, and him jumping, like levitating over the car, which is pretty damn cool. So yeah, it's just stuff like that. Uh, the one thing I will nitpick is, like, with this movie as a whole, it's not one of those where you're going to catch me sitting down watching it pretty often. It might be, a couple times a year, like you said, especially in October. This is a great fall movie to have on in the background while I'm, cooking, cleaning, doing stuff around the house. This is a damn good movie I'm going to have on in the background. It's going to keep me entertained. And not to say it's bad. And, this is a movie I like to sit down and watch. It's just one of those where it wouldn't be as consistent as, other horror movies out there. Um, but, really good cast. I love everything about it. It was slow at times. Yes. Stuff drawn out, like you said, stuff where they definitely should have changed it or cut it. But the creeper itself was really, really portrayed good. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, it gets a little better as the series continues and how this thing evolves. But a really, really good movie to set up for what it is later, being the original and whatnot. And yes, I'm a little surprised, maybe not by the critics for this score, but as an audience, 49, I can see the silver lining, that breakthrough point where it's like, is it like below mid, or am I going to put it a little above average? Am I going to be in that tier? So, I mean, just call it 50%. I mean, the 49, just call it 50. Half the people really, probably had it above average, and then there's those below average people too. But my score will be a 6-7.
Hey,
So yeah, we were close. So to hear your flat 7, I, the nostalgia for me is there. Growing up with it's there. Being scared as a kid is there. This has all of the roots you would want in a movie as a horror movie, fanatic, lover, whatever you want to call it. It's there, but when you get older and you look back on it, it's, and we're critiquing movies now doing this, and it's the score might change a little bit, unfortunately, and that's the way the wind blows sometimes. But yeah, I'm going a 6-7. To me, for me to put it above a 7, that's kind of getting into, or a 7 or above, I should say. That's kind of getting into a different category. So I think a high 6 is definitely fitting for this movie. So there you have it. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to check us out on all of those streaming platforms. Junes, it's amazing having you on set. Guys, we've been scratching the surface. We'll see you next time.